to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. You know when you meet someone and you just instantly like them? I mean that kind of like really odd, weird, instantly like them, right? That happened with me and my guest today, Vicky Serany. We weren't even through the off-air pre-chat conversation and I already was thinking to myself, this is a hashtag smart lady and I like her a lot. An experienced businesswoman, Vicky opened Southern Studio Interior Design in 2001 in Cary, North Carolina. Vicky's extensive work in residential design and new home construction has earned her awards both locally and nationally. As you listen to Vicky today, notice how her mission and vision goals for her company changed over the years. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this after the show, but keep an ear out for that little nuance in there, okay? And before I introduce you to Vicky, I want to remind you, if you are listening to this in real time, Tuesday, July 14, 2020, tomorrow is the big day with My Doma Studio. If you have not signed up yet for 19H The Blueprint, you can sign up as late as today at the early bird rate of $99 because you're a podcast listener. That's right. I'm going to kick us off in the AM, and then you're going to have 3 sessions of workshops to help you add the systems and tools you need to set your business up for resiliency. Having a firm foundation for your business is key in determining how you and your business can weather a crisis, whether it's a pandemic or a personal challenge. Solid systems that make it so that your business can run with or without you is the secret sauce, okay? So to join us, please go to mydomastudio.com/19LuAnn, all right? mydomastudio.com/19LuAnn. And you know what I say? Do you have a business or do you have a you? Okay. If you have a you, this is an opportunity for you to change this. Go to mydomastudio.com/LuAnn. All right. Looking forward to introducing you to Vicky Serany. Hi, Vicky. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Thank you so much for having me. What a treat.
Oh, so I'll tell you, I spend 15 or 20 minutes speaking with every guest before we go on air just to get an idea of what we're going to talk about. And there are so many good things that I can go toward in the conversation with you based on what we've just reviewed. And Vicky, the first thing I want to say is that I'm not even through the interview, and I already know that you are going to teach us some good stuff today. I love the different things that you've done in your business, and the place that I would love to start is you shared with me how you were a solo interior design firm, that you set it up with a very specific model in mind for the first 10 years of your business because it served your purposes as a mom and a business owner. And then it was at the moment of the 2008-2010 recession that you took the leap to build the business out. And I love
Correct.
This right here. So give us a little bit of insight as to what happened in 2008-2010 for you.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, at the time, it wasn't so much fun. But looking back, it was probably the best thing that could have ever happened. But you're right. The entire time when I was, my kids were growing up, I worked with only builders and developers. I felt like no matter what field trip I wanted to go on, who got sick, what was happening, what vacation we wanted to go on, I could still do my job faster than they could build a home. And so it was the perfect scenario for me to kind of juggle that balance of family. And then, once my kids were older, and I was ready to work more, the housing market tanked, and the builders and developer, that work just completely dried up. And I was like, well, now what? I mean, how do we tackle this? So I spent a lot of time doing a lot of research. I drove all over we're in North Carolina. I drove all over North and South Carolina. I talked to a lot of reps to really kind of dive deep into what sort of firm was the successful model. Retail was struggling, and I couldn't figure out how to make money as a solo interior designer. I felt like using the design centers, I really didn't have access to the things that I wanted to. I couldn't ask the manufacturers the questions I needed to ask. And so the working design studio was the model that tended to be working really well. So against the advice of many, many people, including our financial planner, and said, don't do it, it's not the right time, I just had faith, and I bit the bullet, and we hired our first employee in the middle of the recession.
Wow. See, and it's so funny because I think I'm the first one that surrounds myself with not only experts, but people that are smarter than me. Like, I love to be in a room with smart people and to pick their brain and get their insights and get their advice. But I'm also the first one that says, and at the end of the day, your inner goddess, that goddess voice, is telling you yes or no. And you have to cultivate that inner intuition and have the courage to act on that inner intuition, right? And so the thing is interesting is I'm with you. Look, there's always going to be an exception to the rule, but I always like the idea of starting a business in a recession. There's going to be variables. There's going to be, are you kidding me, situations that you may or may not do. But for the most part, what I've learned with all of the economic downturns that we've experienced at WindowWorks is that I have a saying I've always said, the recession weeds out the pretenders. And so and what I mean by that is if you are running a business, but it really isn't well run and well managed, the stress of an economic crisis will crack that business. And unfortunately, because of that, businesses that were previously quote unquote look successful, but really might not have been profitable and were not well run, they will close their doors. And if you open, and you do open with sound business principles and a good foundation, you can grow in that slower economy and test out your business principles and your systems and processes and fine tune them and let it grow as the economy grows back up. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. It is actually, in hindsight, it was the perfect time to do it because it allowed you to gradually layer on that business. And if you dive in when it's super busy, I don't know what that's like, but when you dive in, and if you were to start when it's super busy, I think that would be completely overwhelming. And we had very fast growth coming out of the recession, but during the recession, it allowed us to kind of set a solid foundation.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. And I love that that was your experience as well. Because, of course, this podcast is going to air sometime late summer, midsummer of 2020 at the height, well, gosh knows if it's at the height of COVID-19 because this is changing weekly.
Right? It's crazy.
Right. Let's hope it's on its back legs or over, right? But the point is that I have had many designers come to me privately and through social and saying, I had finally got it together and I was starting my business and this hit. And I don't let them off the hook on it. I really don't. Look, if you're dealing with, one thing that's different with this is if you started a business in 2008 and 2010, like you did, and changed your business model, your kids were in school while you did it. Like that part
Correct.
is tougher, right? And all of that. But still, there is a way to launch a business in an economic downturn. And as long as you, just like in any time, as long as you have good counsel and good people and good sound advice around you, the reason to not do it is not because of the economy, in my opinion. So, and I'm glad that we share that, because it is the truth. If you open any business and it opens to full flood of clients, you really do just keep, unfortunately, running in the same hamster wheel, whether it's a good one or not, because the next client is right at the door and you got to keep going. You can't stop and regroup and say, hey, I don't have anything in the pipeline. Maybe I should review that last project and perfect it, right?
Exactly. And I'll tell you, nobody ever said this was going to be easy. If it were easy, everybody would do it, right? I mean, it is not easy.
No.
And even during this whole, COVID shutdown, we had half of our construction was considered essential in North Carolina, but all the furniture manufacturers were shut down.
Right.
And so we kept our whole team intact. We did not furlough. We did not let anybody go. But everybody did have, we called them COVID projects. And at the end of COVID, because I said, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity while we're working from home, while it's quieter and we can't meet with clients. This is an opportunity to learn a new skill. So every single one of our junior designers literally had a COVID project, and we had a day at the end when we all got back together that everybody presented their projects. So these are the times that I think it is so important that we all, you can feel sorry for yourself for about an hour,
right?
But then, then you have to move on. If you continue to feel sorry for yourself, you're never going to get over it, right?
Right. It's the truth. And it doesn't serve you in any which way. And it's so true, because you can look, if you really truly are overwhelmed, there's no question. Take a moment, take a breath, stay in bed an extra hour later. I don't know, have another glass of wine. Maybe if you only usually have one, have two, right? But you got to pick yourself up. You can't stay in that. And you do need to turn around and look for the opportunity that might be, a little in the shadows, but they're there. But you have to be open and willing and looking for them. You can't be just saying, never mind, I can't do it in this environment. So I think that's awesome. I love that. I'm curious, when you say each designer was tasked with a COVID project, do you mean like some enrichment skill, maybe learning, rendering or CAD, or do you mean each one was to take a pretend design project to just sharpen their skills in the process of doing your projects?
No, it was actually to better us as a firm. So we had one of our junior designers really took the lead in really elevating our 3D renderings, because that's something that we have been talking about working on. We just never had the time to really focus on it. So we were working on 3D. Since we missed High Point Market, another one of our designers was supposed to research and really presented some amazing new finds.
Wow.
Like new curated, artisan type materials that you really kind of have to do some digging and following. And you always see them on Instagram. You say, oh, I'm going to remember that person. And then you never do. And so then we present to them and we follow up. And so we've gotten some amazing new resources in the studio. And then another project was, we actually branded a new Southern Studio Simplified, where it's a simplified version of and a lot of our clients' kids have actually taken advantage of that program. And we connected that to reward style. So it was really kind of elevating a whole new experience for those who can't really afford our full service design right now. So, and all three of these projects are things that we had been talking about that we never had time to do, and they're all going to stay with us beyond COVID.
So I love this. I love that you were very, keeping your team. We did the same thing at WindowWorks. We kept our entire team intact throughout COVID. We did very similar business building activities to you. In our firm, we had installers identifying awnings and businesses that needed new awnings for curb appeal, XYZ, all that kind of stuff. So I love that you did that. Now that you're back, and you're back at work in your office right now as we're talking, right? Your team is back back.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes,
so
we're back.
That's great. And so now that you're back, where is your business in relation to COVID? Are you busy again? Is the pipeline going? Are you looking for that to happen? Where are you right now?
So can you say roller coaster ride? I mean, honest to God, it just is unbelievable. But we had our best first quarter that we've ever had. And that includes the end of March when we started to shut down. And we literally were in the position that we were hiring 2 positions in March. And when everything shut down, we put a pause on those hirings. And in the last 2 weeks, in the last month, actually, business has come back stronger than ever. And so we not only have hired the 2 positions that we were planning to hire before the COVID shutdown, but we've added a third. So in the last few weeks, we've hired 3 new people to move us forward. Now, is that frightening? It's absolutely terrifying because what happens if another wave comes through, right?
Yeah.
But the one thing I've learned is that if we really focus on best business practices, that we can survive and we plan for the downtimes. Like that's the thing is that our industry, you will have the downtimes. And if we plan for them, we can get through them. And so, yeah, we have hired 3 new people right now. I think it's going to be a fabulous thing, but we can learn that can change at the drop of a hat.
It's so interesting because I'm mirroring your same experience, not only in my business, but in the mastermind that I've been running with my cousin Eileen and 6 design firms that are all $2 to $3 million gross revenue design firms. Literally, exactly. Our first quarter was the best quarter that we've had in a long while. Then April was abysmal and like 1/5 of what we should be doing. I'm so bad with math because I can't do it in my head that quickly, but like stupid, like 55%, no, 3/4 under our cost to be open number was our gross revenue for April. Okay. So we would have to do 4 more times what we did in April to hit our cost to be open number. That's what it was. Okay. So it was like you said, heck, whoa, what is going on here?
Terrifying.
Right.
Yes.
You're looking at 11 sets of eyeballs that work for you and you're like, whoa, like this, right?
Right.
And what's so funny is with the same 6 interior designers that we rushed together and put a masterminds for support and, to have people to lean on and how are you doing this and what are you doing with that? We were meeting every single week. By the 3rd week, 4th week of our mastermind, I'm saying, wow, WindowWorks is like turned a corner. And all of a sudden, every single one of the design firms are saying, by the 5th week of our mastermind, we're saying, oh my goodness, now my new problem is I have so much business in the pipeline. I have to hire and I have to hire it quickly. And the same with WindowWorks. We've hired 2 people in the last 10 days. 2 people in less. It's like, wow.
It's insane. It's insane. My friends think I'm absolutely crazy.
I know.
I mean, because you talk to one conversation and you're right. Within a matter of a few weeks, it has completely flipped.
Yeah.
And so you just have to be able to handle those ups and downs and try to do it gracefully.
But I love what you said. I love what you said. It's your best business practices and your foundation that is the key to managing that. And what's interesting is, and I will give a shout out to the designer who reached out to me and said, I need a mastermind. I want you to lead it. I want your voice on there, but I need colleagues that are in the same business as me, doing the same volume as me, have large teams like me. And I need to speak with people every single week that are going through this because this is hate to say the darn word, unprecedented. This is like nothing we've ever been through before. And I need to have people that I can bounce ideas off of, but every single one of us that came to this mastermind, there was no gaps in our practices, our procedures, our efficiencies. That part was in place. This was top level strategizing for first how to pare all the way back and cut expenses and allocate resources, and now to ramp it all back up again. It's insane.
That is exactly what we went through. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you're right. You have to have that support group within this industry.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I'm the first one to say it's, right now I'm currently working with 3 different people that business coach me on the different areas that that are my gaps, right? We don't all have every skill set. But as I said in the beginning, I like to surround myself with smart people and people that are experts in their area. And it is how you up-level your business. Do you agree with that?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And I think there's a plateau that you reach in a business, and it's like, okay, if I could only get over this hurdle. And there's different plateaus. I mean, at different points of your business by either number of employees or dollar volume or whatever it might be. And you're like, okay, I just need that boost and the strategies to get me over that next hurdle. So I am a huge believer in coaches. We have, I actually work with two different coaches that help us with in different ways with the business. One's more of a mastermind group, and one is actually through the EOS. We have an EOS implementer, and we've been following the EOS system for the last 2 years. And so that has I really do believe that I would like to take credit for our growth, and I do work really hard, but there is no way that I could possibly do it without quality coaching.
I love it.
And LuAnn, honestly, what you're doing for our industry and what you bring to the table, even through this podcast, I don't think you have any idea what your reach possibly could be.
Well,
I just don't.
Yeah.
You do amazing things for our industry. So on behalf of our industry, thank you.
Well, that's so nice of you to say, and I appreciate it, and I love doing it. So it doesn't feel, not 1 minute of it ever feels like work to me. And I want to say, I happen to know that you coach with Gail Doby, so I don't want anybody to infer here when you say mastermind and I meant mastermind. Gail Doby is an amazing coach in this industry, and definitely let's give her the shout out that she has earned in your place, in your business, for helping you grow. And I also want to remind everybody that Laura Umansky follows and has hired the EOS coaches and implementers as well. And if we remember Laura Umansky's episode, which was on last fall, 2019 fall, she said to me, I think she is approaching the 5 million mark. And she said, I now want to hit the 10 million mark. Right. And of course, she was at 3 and going for 5, but it was big numbers.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Everybody always remarks on how I remember everything from other episodes in real time when we're talking. But what you'll know is I never remember the numbers. It's like this, like I didn't get a gene. It's not there. So,
that's okay. That's okay.
So, but the lesson is that it is something that I think I like to take a minute on this, because I think that when we start out in the beginning of our career, if we're smart, we understand that it's valuable to get help. And sometimes that help has to be a free podcast, because that's all you have the finances and resources to do. And that's great. Sometimes help is a book. But you can go to some sort of coaching, and maybe that entry-level coaching is group coaching because it's more reasonable, blah, blah, blah. But the thing about it is to a person that I have spoken to that is truly successful and their business is running the way they want it to run, the coaching continues. The coaching just up levels, right? It's never like, oh, I'm at 3 million, no more coaching needed. WindowWorks is 39 years and at the gross revenue level of 3 million, and we have coaches. And so I'm just really passionate about that, of having those other expert voices in your ear, right? Do you agree, Vicky?
Yeah, absolutely. And it does, like you said, it may start out as that free podcast. Mm-hmm. Like I get phone calls quite often from designers who are just starting out or want to learn more. And I often refer them. I have a couple books that I refer to, and I have podcasts. And I do think that that's a huge way to get started. I started with Gail way back when she first started her business in the recession, and she had an online, it was like once a month you would call in this program, and it was very cost effective at the time. And so now, we've just grown over the years, and it's a significant investment right now at where we are, but the return on that investment, no matter what it is at any level, as long as it doesn't put you in financial risk,
right.
It is such an amazing, people think that it's so much money, which it is, but it's a powerful tool to take your business to the next level.
I 100% agree. And it does. You do have to evaluate the return against the investment. But, there's no promises, no guarantees in life. And here's what I know is it's no different than a home. You think and and you understand very clearly that it's worth investing tens of thousands of dollars into a home in order to increase its value. It's the exact same thing. Are you going to
exact same thing?
Right. You're going to have a $1 million business and invest $500 in information and ideas in order to make it grow. That's just silly. That's like, I got $1 million house. Let me put a new bath mat in it. Yay, looks great.
Right.
It's like the impact isn't there. The more it matters, the more the investment matters as well. But to your point, and I hear you, have to do it at the level that you can afford it responsibly. So I love it. This EOS thing is a pretty cool thing. My cousin Eileen is one of our business coaches, and she does not use the EOS method, but I know that a lot of what she does aligns with that same sort of big picture vision and goal setting for the firm, and to really just look and say, why do I think I can only go from 3 billion to 3.25? Why not shoot for 4? Like, what would it take? And that's what I love about her. She makes me say, what would it take to get there? And 99% of the time, when myself and my husband and our cousin answer whatever that question is, what would it take to get there? We're like, we could do that. We could do that. And then that will get us there.
Exactly. It doesn't seem as overwhelming when somebody else spells it out for you. And as I'm a solopreneur. The buck stops with me, right?
Yes.
Without a partner. And I'm oftentimes envious of firms that might have a partnership, somebody to bounce ideas off of. And I have an incredible support group, but that system gives every single person in the firm accountabilities that they have to adhere to. And it takes a lot of the pressure off of the owner of the firm, because everything's spelled out and written out and becomes very, very clear for everybody on the team. And so it's a huge tool that has made a big difference in just operations on a daily basis.
I love it. Laura described the same thing. The accountability, the clarity is so worth every dime. And I have to say, for entrepreneurs like yourself that really are a solo entrepreneur, whether you have a team of 10 or 20, if you are the solo owner, that is a very tough situation to be in, especially as it's funny because in the beginning, when everything seems like a hard decision, that's hard to be in. And then later, as you're experienced, the decisions just get harder with bigger consequences. And so it's tough to know what to do. It's exactly why I came up with the chairman of the board program that I run, actually, Vicky, is because I was meeting often enough designers that were reaching that space of $250,000, $300,000 a year, or wanting to go from $100,000 to $500,000 or $500 to $1 million. And as a solo, without a counterpart in the partnership role, it's sort of like, well, how do I balance and evaluate this decision? Do I invest in a studio? Do I do this? And that's when I said, there's people out there that just need somebody that they can get some help, ideas, advice, and guidance from. And so that's how that program was born. And it's really been a very great pleasure of mine this last 7 or 8 months to be the chairman of the board for several design firms.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant because it can be a very lonely place. And if you really do establish your leadership team, it'll help you. It really does help not feel so lonely.
Yeah. Yes, it's good. So, okay. So one of the things that your firm does really well, I understand, is your business practices, your efficiencies that relate to not only how you internally run your team, but also how that affects and really impacts the client experience. Do you want to take a few minutes and tell us some of the things that are the particular standout things in your process or systems that really contribute to these areas?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some things, every project is different. And we all actually tell our clients, we really strive to meet the unique needs of every project, but you have to control the chaos, right? So we actually use several tools that help us manage all of our client projects. Every Monday we have our team meetings and project meetings, and we use Asana to manage all of our projects. And we go through every client, every project, every installation. We have a whole kind of agenda that we go down very quickly within an hour as a touch base. Every Wednesday morning, we stand around the island in our kitchen in the studio, and we do a quick rundown with clients, because believe it or not, a lot can change between Monday and Wednesday. And then every Friday, every client gets a Friday update, and it has the client actions on it. It includes our actions and what we've accomplished and what we've done on their behalf every week. And what I have found is these Friday updates, and we kind of bullet item on there what we've done on their behalf. A lot of those things, they may not even know that we've been tackling for them. And then when they get their invoice at the end of the month, they're like, oh yeah, now I know. Where, in the past, before we did Friday updates, they would get their invoice and they're like, wait a second. Well, now it's very clear as to what we're working on for them. And so it's really helped us on so many different levels. And since we're primarily a residential firm, giving, when people are off on the weekends, that's when my phone was blowing up. We were getting emails, we were getting texts, because that's when people have time, right? And I don't blame them. I mean, we are a luxury service. We want to provide that high level of service. But if we let them know what's happening on Friday, we can breathe and enjoy and regroup and rejuvenate ourselves to be prepared for Monday.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I mean, as a consumer, you nailed it. You that's exactly what happens. You take a breath and you stop being on your own business or job hamster wheel, and you think about what's happening in your own life. And you're like, right, I've got this multi, 5 or 6 figure project of design going on, and where's all my money at anyway?
Exactly. So another tool that we use in the studio, since we are a very collaborative studio, is that every single person on our team is empowered to use a policy that we call the Make It Right policy. And at the end of the day, we want happy clients. If you truly ask what drives us, we just want people to be happy in the end. And so something's going to go wrong. We do custom design. We never do the same thing twice. And so, of course, if we did the same thing over and over and over again, it would be perfected. Sometimes we're trying new things that have never been done before. So you have to kind of let them evolve. But for example, if there's a damage in the sofa or somebody didn't like, we literally will say to the client, what can we do to make you happy? And every single person on our team is empowered to make that call and make that decision. Now, sometimes if it's a high dollar thing, we'll come back and we'll kind of have a powwow about it. But we want everybody to know that our ultimate priority is to make it right. And it's actually, we have it as part of a line item in our marketing budget.
I love it. I think it's outstanding. I mean, I spoke about this in my first book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, how this goes back to you as the principal of your design firm, the owner of your design firm, deciding on a core value. And your core value is we have a make it right policy. And for me at WindowWorks, we call it 110% customer satisfaction. And I use the example in my book of exactly this concept, that if it's known that this is how I believe my business should run as an owner, and I teach it to you as every single person on my team, then whether I'm standing with you or not, you know that we have this core value. So, and I love the Make It Right policy. That's awesome. And so what happens is, like, for example, I've used the example of this before. If someone calls into the showroom and says to my showroom administrator, your installer's here, and, he brought in a Roman shade and I ordered a drape, she could be looking right at the invoice, the copy of the invoice that says one drape. Like, you ordered a drape. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But she doesn't sit there and start to fight back and say, well, I'm looking at the invoice. It says one drape. Why did you think it should be a Roman? She knows, go right, fast forward, pass go, collect $200 and know that when she brings it to me and whoever salesperson sold it, we're going to say, what can I do for you? Do you prefer to have a Roman shade? Let's take care of that, right? So we don't do all that angsting in the middle of, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Client, you're dead wrong. You know what I mean? And it really creates a better outcome.
That you're absolutely right. And what do they say? It's not, if there is a problem, it's how you take care of a problem that people will remember. That's
right. That's exactly right. And it's so funny because I just had a recent customer service experience this past week where there was a problem on an install. The client did not like the outcome. He calls the showroom, and here was the interesting thing. He called the showroom, spoke to my admin, and I'm just going to take a minute with this because there was a little lesson in the nuance here. He called the showroom, spoke to my admin, and said, your installers are here. I'm not happy with this product. This is why I'm not happy with it. And what do you want to do about it? And so she puts her on hold. She's only working for me 2 weeks. So she's like, wow.
Poor thing,
right? And I said to her, let's get the salesperson. Let's have a conversation with the salesperson and let's tell him that we will reach out and have the salesperson call him. And so she told him, next thing you know, so now I tell her, you find the salesperson. I'm going to text the installers, tell them sit tight. Just be kind, be nice. Don't be crazy. Just wait. We're figuring this out. The phone rings. She answers the phone again. It's the customer again saying, I want to speak to an owner. And now I know that our salesperson hasn't even had time to speak to him yet. And so we're not going to sit there and say, no, you can't speak to an owner. But I get on the phone and I said, hello, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I'm not happy. This is that and the other thing. And I just said to him, I said, sir, I said, I absolutely hear you. I'm 100% sure that we are going to take care of this for you. And I would ask, would you allow me to do 2 things? Would you allow me to have the conversation with my salesperson? And would I ask you, will you have the conversation with my salesperson first? And if the 2 of you cannot come to agreement on this, then it's definitely going to come back to me. I promise you it will come back to me. And so,
correct.
And he said, okay, I will do it that way. Because I know from selling a gabillion years that a lot of times I know the nuances of what happened in the conversation in the sale, that if in a nice way I just say, don't you remember this? The person will say, oh yeah, you're so right. So I don't want to muddy that up as the owner yet. Right? But
not yet.
Right.
And you have to support your team.
Exactly.
You have to support your team.
Right. And what was interesting was we ended up resolving everything. And I ended up having to have the conversation and resolve it. But you know what was he said? He said to the installers, he said to the admin, my husband answered the phone one time when he called. He didn't know who my husband was. He just, blah, blah, blah. But he said to every single one of us, the way you handled this from the very first phone call to the last phone call is enough to make sure that I say good things about you and come back to you for another product. And that's what you have to do, right?
Oh, bravo to you. I mean, truly. And that is what it's all about, because, the last thing any of us need is somebody with a bad taste in their mouth. So no matter what it costs to fix something like that, you're better off just biting the bullet and doing it.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. So you have found the same for yourself, that you are this make it right policy is an awesome policy, and you've taught it to your team and your staff, and every which way it lives and breathes itself throughout your practices and your processes, right?
Right. And we actually go over them. I mean, we always are constantly talking about how we can improve them and what could we have done differently. If there's a problem, it's usually because there wasn't a process or somebody didn't follow the process. Right. And it's like, okay, and things are going to go wrong, but every time it goes wrong, we kind of, take a step back and go, okay, what could we have done differently? How can we all learn from this? Even when it comes to, even if we're, one of our junior designers is pricing a proposal, and, we're dealers for over 100 different vendors. I don't even know how many, but many, many vendors. They all have different pricing structures. They all have different rules. They all have different, and everything we do is like you're having fabrics come from 3 different places. Is there a nail head? Do you want to take the welt off? I mean, all these kinds of things that we have to pay attention to. And so every single time, if something's off on the pricing, we share that with the whole team, not to belittle anybody, but so everybody can learn from everybody else's mistakes.
Right.
And it's the only way that we're going to get better.
Well, and that's important too, because there's a nuance in that too, to share mistakes and have it come through as the goal is team growth, not the goal is to single anybody out or to make them feel less than. It's that same concept. Find a way for everybody to be whole, but get to where you're going, right?
Right. And I do think that we have to be supportive. Now, if you continue to make the same mistake over and over and over again, then there's a problem.
Right. There's going to be a hatchet. It's coming. It's down on your neck.
Right. I feel bad oftentimes because I don't like being the bad guy. It doesn't come naturally. I mean, some people might disagree, but I really want it to be I really do. I want everybody to just kind of, I want it to be happy, but that's kind of my job, and I need to step up to the plate as a leader, and that's my job, is to help us be better as a team. But even on a sports team, I mean, the good coaches aren't necessarily the easiest coaches, right?
Right. I agree 100%. And this is, our challenge as business owners is to show up and do our best every day, not only in the work product that we put out, but in the managing and the leading of our business. And I have to say, Vicky, it's so clear that you are an intentional and a productive and an efficient and a thoughtful leader of your company. And knowing this, I would just like to ask you, is there anything that you would share with your colleagues? It could be in relation to growing your business. It could be relation to what we're going through in real time in 2020 that you would just like to leave us with, that maybe a lesson or an insight or something that you really feel should be, hey, sit down, sweetie, listen to this.
Right. Right. Well, I think what has been most beneficial for me over the years is to really reach out to this industry and find people in this industry that you can lean on in times when they're tough. This is a time right now, there's so much uncertainty in 2020. And it's a time that we really, as leaders, as business owners, as designers, we need to dig deep and really pull ourselves up, think outside the box, think of ways, strategies that we can be better and improve and always be learning, and, not so much feel sorry. Like you said earlier, you can feel sorry for yourself for a little while, but then really kind of think about it. What is it that we want to be? Where do we want to go? And where do we want to take our businesses? And then we're going to be better equipped to lead our teams into the future.
I love it. I think it's so awesome. And, just to kind of recap everything we're saying on this whole episode is, whether you are a brand new #baby designer and you're going to hit $25,000 in revenue in 2020, or you are like the leader that Vicky is and Lori Umansky and the others that we always learn from on the show, and in the multiple millions of dollars in gross revenue, the idea is that you get there with a plan. Right? You get there with a plan, you get there with taking action, you get there with advice and support, to your point, of either your peer group, the people that you hire, whatever it comes from. But it's not easy. And the expectation that when things are tough, that something is wrong is misguided. It's funny because I've often had somebody say to me, when are you afraid? When are you not afraid to hire? Are you just hired 3 people? Are you not afraid to hire?
Afraid.
Exactly what I said.
Always.
I said, you're not a thinking human being if you're not afraid to hire, right? What we know is we do our projections and we do our cost analysis, and we really do as much as we can to support the idea and the premise and the expense of hiring. But when you finally take on a new employee and you're looking at their eyeballs and you're like, right, now you're my responsibility too. You don't take that easy or lightly, right?
No, there for a while, I was actually saying the responsibility of hiring an employee was almost as difficult as having a child, because you're taking on that responsibility, but you cannot allow yourself to be paralyzed by fear. And like having a child, there's never a good time. I mean, it's always a challenge. Always.
It's so funny. It's so true.
But there's so many rewards that come with it too. I mean, life would be so boring without all these challenges.
Right. I know. I mean, who wants to be bored, for crying out loud? Not me.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe for a day.
Right. Oh my goodness, Vicky. Well, I just loved meeting you. I enjoyed it so much. I know we really only tipped the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg here on what you could have taught us today. But I do appreciate your insights on leadership, because it's so important and so valuable. And I think that it's business owners like yourself that we all can look up to and say, gather a little piece of advice or something here to, for us to have something to aspire to be like. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing yourself with us today.
I cannot even thank you. And once again, thank you for what you do for our industry. You have taught me so many things over the past few years, and you have made us a better business. So for that, I thank you.
Oh, that's so sweet. Hashtag smart lady, am I right? All right. And how about the difference in her business when her children were young and her focus was on them at that time, right? I know I have, and one of the reasons I want to bring this point in the conversation out, of course, there was great talk about resiliency in the COVID situation and how they leaned in at her firm, Vicky, and her team in taking care of doing the projects that had been on her brain and on the team's brain that they wanted to do, and that are going to be things that, like she said, they're going to continue and go on beyond COVID. So that's all so important. But I like this conversation about how her business had one look when her kids were little and a different look now that they're out of the house and grown. Because I've had a lot of conversations with many of you over the years who've expressed this frustration of feeling like when you're with the kids and doing the carpooling, the laundry, the grocery shopping, that you're neglecting your business and you're not really doing your best at your business. But then when you're working on your floor plans and visiting clients and vendors, you feel like you're not showing up as your best for your family. And so my advice is, do like Vicky did. If you're at that stage of your life with small children, make your business fit your life. That's the whole point of being self-employed, isn't it? To make it fit your life, okay? You can revise and reinvent your business at any time, at any point over your entire life, just like Vicky did, all right? But you get one shot to put decent human beings into the world. That's how I look at it, right? There are no do-overs with human people, all right? So if this is a particular challenge that you're facing right now, structure your business to support so that you feel good in every place that you're showing up, all right? And if you want a little help with that, back in episode number 172, I interviewed Natalie Hurst, and she discussed exactly this decision of hers to make her business fit her family life, okay? Her parameters, her hours, everything. So it's a terrific episode if you are stuck in this little, vortex of, not feeling great here and not feeling great there. We've all been there. We all know that feeling. I don't want you to stay in it though. Okay. And the other big message from Vicky's conversation today is that you don't have to do this alone, and rarely actually do we do it so terrifically alone. Many of you have the idea that when you start out, it's easy and understandable that you need help and that maybe you want to hire a coach. But Vicky is actually another example of how the more successful you are and the further you are in your career, the more likely you are to have a cadre of coaches, mentors, peer collaborators, and consultants who on a regular basis you either make arrangements with or you pay to help you, guide you, keep you accountable, and give you the sounding board that we all need to reach our potential as business owners. So I'm reminded of episode number 492 with Laura Umansky. She described how, just like Vicky, that she works with EOS. Okay. And of course, Vicky also mentioned today how she works with Gail Doby, another outstanding business coach in our industry. Okay. And I'm 100% certain if I had asked her more about this, she would have had other coaches and seminars and workshops that she has attended through the years. Okay. So I'm just saying, we all need a little help. Just figure out what help it is that you need, and please go out there and do it. You know, you can do it alone. You're smart. I know it. You have access to tools and information, but why do it alone? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Like I always say, you hire coaches for your kids to teach them how to hit a baseball. Why wouldn't you hire or work with somebody to run your business better? It's illogical. You deserve it. Is my point. You deserve it. Okay. So my thanks to Vicky Serany for sharing her time and advice with us, and to you for listening. I also want to give a quick shout out and hello to Manuela Moreira. I never say your name right, sweetie. Manuela, I know how to say that part. But thank you, Manuela, for your review on iTunes. I saw it. And I just want to say hello. And I'm looking forward to when COVID is over so we can get together in New York or New Jersey again, wherever it might be. And oh my goodness, how far your business has come and how much it has grown. And you have grown it since you were on the show all the way back in episode 199. So sending you a huge congratulations and thank you so much for your review on iTunes. I appreciate it so much. All righty. I hope I will see you tomorrow morning at 19H The Blueprint. And then in 2 weeks, I hope I see you at the first virtual IWCE, International Window Coverings Expo. Please join me there too. I'm going to be doing the opening keynote at this event as well. And I'm also going to be presenting my seminar, Closing the Sale Begins at Hello, Strategies for Setting Up Your Consults so that you close more consults more often. All right. Please go to iwce-vision.com. See all the things that's going to be happening over 2 days there and to register. The event is July 29th and 30th, 2020. That is, if you're listening in the future. Other presenters include Darla Powell and Sarah Brennan, two co-authors in my next book. And they also include Nicole Heimer and Michelle Williams, two co-authors in the last book, as well as Madeline McRae, Melissa Galt, and many others. Nonstop working, learning, and business building. I hope to see you there as well. You just can't do enough to grow your business, and you never know when the aha moment is going to hit you. So please visit iwce-vision.com. Alrighty, that's a wrap. Have a great day. Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.